Start. Hello everyone and welcome to the final patch notes for the Morrowind patch. There is some fantastic changes, last second stuff coming into this. It is absolutely top quality and this is exactly what we needed. The game is without doubt going in the right direction. And I know there's going to be people giving you a negative atmosphere. They're like, oh Philip, they've ruined the game again, like. Every fucking time they ruin the game in the patches. It's a lie. This game is going in the right direction. It forces you to learn counterplay mechanics, to play the game properly, play all of the different mechanics through heavy attacks, light attacks, ability, sustain, damage. It forces you to get the perfect balance of everything. The game is in the right spot. Good. And there are bits and bobs all the way through these notes, so give me some time to go through this. It's a lot to cover. This first bit is just an intro. Disclaimer, if anyone can sort of timestamp where I go over classes and sets and that stuff, I'd love it if someone could do that, because I probably won't have the time, to be honest with you. And there is going to be a lot of content. So keep in mind, this will be a long video, really long recording. There is tons of stuff to go over with. So, first thing first is just about how to start Morrowind. So it's in your collectibles. Upgrading Morrowind, I actually want to see this. Everyone who logs into ESO who has not yet upgraded to Morrowind will see a registration screen to notify it's available. Oh, okay, so if you've already upgraded, you will already have it on your game, basically, and that's just a way to purchase it. I understand that. That's just public dungeons. They're the things within Morrowind. New playable class, the Warden. I'm sure we'll go over that pretty soon. I obviously have a build video for the Magical Warden on my class already from the PTS. So, first things first, Battlegrounds. Welcome, they are fast-paced zone. I may have read all this before, but I'm going to check. So you can solo queue or queue with 2, 3, and 4 people into Battlegrounds. Large groups cannot queue for Battlegrounds. So you can't queue a bigger group to sort of play with your friends. But I like that because it stops people like buffing with their friends. You know, you can't just suicide to each other and get good scores and good medals and power through the ranks and all. So the 3 maps, Foyda, Quarry, Alda, Carrick, and Alara. Alara is like a small place. It's got a big center ring with some Dwemer spinning things, an outer ring, 3 sort of corner with some Dwemer decoration. The Foyda Quarry is my personal favorite. That's the lava. So it's got a center ring, lava spreading out, a couple of bridges either direction, and then again some sort of side points, but not so large. And it's also got some sort of under tunnel things, but not much of that. Just on each spawn. And then finally out of Carrick is the Dwemer site in a very, very small area. I can't remember which one that is, to be honest, but you get the idea. 3 game matches. So when you queue for these, by the way, you get queued in for all of them at the same time. It is randomized. In the future, I've been told by ZeniMax, if they start bringing in more and more different game modes, which they intend to, then they will let you queue for individual ones. For the time being, you have to queue for a random one. Which isn't perfect, but is not bad. So you've got 3 game modes at the moment. Team Deathmatch, slay them all, destroy them, good. I like that sort of style, that's me. Aggression, always good. Capture the flag, not my personal favourite. You go around capturing the flag, bring it back. But I only have PTS experience that. So PTS was rarely 4v4v4. Because of the numbers on PTS, you normally get like a 4v1v2 or something. So essentially people would just store it instantly. Yeah, we'll ignore that. And then Domination is my favorite. That is to capture 4 possible flag spawns, turn the flags, and hold the flags for points. It's very well designed, definitely the best. And it forces you to spread and stack as appropriate for a fight. So you've got to keep a lot of awareness with your teams, see where your team's coming from, and that sort of stuff. But I'll definitely make some guides on how to best strategize each of the game modes as we go, because it will definitely help things. I'm sure a lot of people will want it. I have had a request for it, so I will do that. So you have 3 teams. They're purple, green, and orange. That's what those means. Name doesn't really matter, I guess. And they last for 15 minutes, but I would say nearly all the time you'll reach a score limit. So nearly all the time someone will reach the point limit. So it's not actually 15 minutes. It's probably more like 8 to 10 minutes of fight. Very rarely it can reach the point limit. I guess, again, on the live server, there might be some closer fights. I would doubt it with Domination. It would have to be a very close fight to get past there. Only capture the flag, I could see you lasting the whole time. When Battlegrounds ends, you will earn points based on whether your team came first, second, or third. It's all about helping you up to the items and that sort of stuff. I think the items come in the mail. The Alliance point is not that good. The gold and the XP, I have not actually checked. So if you're doing this for AP, don't bother. Go back to Cyrodiil. But if you're doing it for the fun and the challenge and the new sets and that sort of stuff, sets the way to go. And it's really enjoyable. The medals are earned on a lot of different things. So there are God knows how many. So you can get medals for killing, for healing, for capturing a flag, for certain achievements, so certain combinations, for last second defending flag. You name it, it's got a medal awarded on it. And those sort of medals you need to learn how to get, because the medals will affect your personal score for each run. The game modes will also affect the medals that are actually available. So, for example, your scores generally in Capture the Flag are a lot lower than in Domination and Team Deathmatch, unless you're running flags. If you score flags or bank back a flag when you kill someone who's stolen yours, you'll get much better points. So keep that in mind. And it also says if medals influence the quality of reward you'll receive at the end. The more medals you've earned, the better chance your item will be purple or blue. So from a jewelry point of view, that's very good, because that's going to reward skilled players. It's going to mean that the skilled player is more likely to get a good drop, essentially, which is well designed in my opinion. It means that you're getting rewarded for good play. Medals have a score associated with them. So there's 3 different tierings of medals. I can go over those. Gold, silver, and bronze. The gold medals give you 100 points. I think gold's 200, silver 100, and bronze 50. But don't quote me on that. It's something like that. Team Deathmatch, only medals from Team Matchups go into this. Flags, Capture the Flag, and other mobile flag games to be added in the future updates into this. So there's going to be other flag games. I guess something like taking a flag to the enemy. And then stationary banner games to be added in the future. So they're actually saying about different game modes that are going to be added. So I assume they're already in the programming and that sort of stuff, which is good. How do I apply my Morrowind upgrade on Steam? It won't install. I think it's already on there when you actually log into the game, mate. I could be wrong. At the end of the week, players on the leaderboard will be awarded items based on their rank on the leaderboard. So it's that simple, basically. If you are a higher rank overall for the week, it's much like Maelstrom, you're more likely to get a good reward and things like that. This penalty. So when you leave a game in Battlegrounds, you do get a penalty. It's a 20-minute cooldown. That can be iffy if you crash, because if you crash, you can get dicked over into a penalty. What you can do to get around that is relog to a different character. So it's a character-based cooldown, not an account-based cooldown. Something good to learn. If you crash, or you have to leave a game, or you're in a really biased game, or you've got to go for dinner or something like that, and you've got to leave a game, my suggestion is just relog to another character for 20 minutes, and then if you really want to play your main or something else, relog back after 20 minutes. So you can get around it that way, and it's not quite as punishing. They currently disable CP, so there are no CP. In my opinion, that's much better. It gets rid of a lot of the issues in the game. There's certain things in there that just make you stronger, and then certain things that just don't make a difference. For example, like direct damage, someone's going to have counter direct damage. This damage, someone's going to have that, but perma-block, that's there. So things like that can go, which is great. And there are, apparently, I didn't know this, daily quests for Battlegrounds in one of the locations. Battlemaster, Gladiator's Quarters. I did not know that. So, next thing is the new trial. This is the 12-man trial. I would like to read the final thing on this because I have not read this. It's in the east of Morrowind. Is one way to get in, or you can go by the docks. The general design of this trial is really good. It's a lot more boss focused, and again, I'll make some videos on the trial when I can. It's a lot more boss focused than it is NPC and, you know, mosh pit of shit focused. It's very well designed in my opinion. I really like this trial. It's much better than things like More the Lockage. As challenging as that was at the very start, it's honestly, once you've done it a few times, just an ad wave thing. That's not the case in this trial. In my opinion, you get a lot less ads here and it's a lot more boss focused. I really like it on that front. And even some of the ads are really, really strong. By the way, I'm currently downloading the patch. Also, for the sake of my stream, I'm saying that I'm downloading the patch, so I will actually get through this content some of me very soon. But I've done a lot of the PTS and know the content. It doesn't say much about the trial. I think I will leave that for another day. But generally, there's rewards for new skin, titles, housing items, that sort of stuff. There's loads in there. Okay, so new items. I have gone over the sets. None of this has changed as far as I know. So I think I will skip through the sets. If you want to see that, watch my first Morrowind patch review. There are some sets worth mentioning though. For example, if anyone gets Sturdy in the Impregnable set, hook me up because I need that set. Just side note there. Then we got new crafting motifs. So again, that's just motifs, that sort of stuff. That's coming with the content. We can ignore that. This is home stuff. Not too fussed about that, to be honest. Script for their collectibles, furnishings, body markings, pets, skins, new titles, loads of those, new dyes, you name it, it's in this patch. And then we go down to CP. So CP, again, I've gone over a lot. Nothing has changed in here. So this, again, go to my first CP video. But generally speaking, you've got to spread your CP out more, and that's well designed. You can no longer stack into one tree. You have to spread out because it's far more biased to the early start. For example, if you go from 99 points to 100, you can honestly gain 0.01%. That is such a negligible amount that you will never notice it. So for that reason, it's very well designed in my opinion. It's in the right spot. That doesn't matter that much. This doesn't matter that much. Doing trophies, hiling mails, PvP campaign updates. So this one is an interesting change. The old campaigns have now changed. They've changed the names of those and that sort of stuff. Doesn't do much, of course. But you'll notice one thing. There is a lot more biased to the no champions. And I actually like that. We'll see how that works out. I mean, the thing is, we always on PCU had only one really active campaign anyway, so it doesn't change much. Like, one campaign was really CP based, and then the others were generally pretty much buff campaigns. It's harder to make a buff campaign on no CP, in my opinion, because if there's any relatively good players against any relatively good players, the fights are generally closer. In CP, if one team is better than the other, I would say the better team would win every time. In no CP, there's a bit of variety, and some of that power like siege and things can help defenses. So I think honestly that's a nice change because it's going to make less buff campaigns, even though there's the same number of campaigns. So for that reason, I kind of like that change. But again, it's not changing much because generally speaking, there's only one campaign. That is likely to go down next patch as well because a lot of people are going to be battlegrounds, at least at the start. I'm sure the populations will pick up back afterwards, but at the start, probably unlikely. Another really big change is the Cyrodiil reward changes. So Cyrodiil rewards used to be very, very biased to the marksman set, for Salas, that sort of stuff, Vicious Death, the really generic PvP sets. Now you can get the ones from the boxes. So you can now get things like Affliction, Legion Order, you name it. Any of those sets you could get from the boxes, you can get those. What else have we got in here? They are the same durations. You've got 230 days, a 7-day, and the non-vet 7-day. Here's an interesting one. Rewards for them will now provide a single armor piece. No weapons or jewelry for the item set listed below. Equipment for the rewards will be at least blue. So the weapons are probably only going to be from the reward mails or the boxes, which means the weapons, are likely to go up in price. If you want any of these sets and you need the weapon, buy it now. Trust me. Last chance to do so, so keep that in mind. I won't buy it. I'm going to be a good man and let you guys enjoy the profit, but buy the weapons. There'll definitely be profit there. Double bank capacity, so that's for ESO Plus. I like it. Gives me a bit more space. Shame it isn't double inventory. That's normally where I have problems, but it's whatever. Anyway, character slot. So you have to buy the character slot for the Warden. It's something that triggers me slightly, but unfortunately you do have to do it. If you do want the Warden space, I will have to do that. What a shame. Rest in peace. But they did say it was going to be the case, so by now people should be kind of used to that. Inverse kinetic system. So I have no idea what this is. This is about making it look like you're walking more sort of naturally, I guess, when up and down hills. I don't really care about that. Okay, so really good one for the consoles here, the buff trackers. Now, I have played these on the PC, the PTS. They are really good, actually. You can really see your durations and all of that. One thing I would say about them is you have to learn the icons. You can't move the position of the buffs, so you can't move that up or down, but you can adjust which buffs show. So, for example, if you've got a permanent buff like food, you can turn that off if you wish. Things like the Mundus, you can turn that off if you wish, etc., etc. So, feel free to do that. But what I would say is, even though you can't move it, it's in the right spot. You've got your skills, your health bar, and then the buff's just above there. So it's in pretty much the perfect spot. I like the way they're set up. Another thing is they've sort of moved it into a combat category. A lot of your old settings might have changed. If they have been reverted, just move into the combat settings, and they're probably in there. So keep that in mind. If you're finding a setting wrong, just jump into there. So this is changes to the Dark Brotherhood patch. I'm not too fussed about that. Key fragment stacked more, doesn't matter much. Orsinium, don't matter much, doesn't matter much, doesn't matter much. That's a hist, doesn't matter much. Doesn't matter much, doesn't matter much, doesn't matter much. Alliance War. So here's another really nice change. I think I mentioned it in the previous one, but I'll mention it anyway. There is now a cooldown for capturing flags. So that is the proper change to make it so that you can't, you know, just power resource and take turns capping it and that sort of stuff to prevent buffing. So I like that bit. The rest of it doesn't matter too much. Not too fast. Oh, thank you, Chipso. This is art and animations. We're not too fussed about that one. Audio, not fussed about that. Combat and gameplay. Okay, so This is all about your resource sustain. Now remember, again, with the CP changes, they have taken out cost reduction. Again, check out my first video on the PTS notes for that one. This is the final notes, so we're just going to skip that bit and go through the other stuff. So, resource based on the maximum resource piles. These abilities were basically, so what this is saying is resource skills that were costing resources that scaled on your size. For example, if you have more stamina, you've got stamina.
Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from, Cotton Eye Joe? But I've been from Cotton Eye Joe. I've been married a long time ago. Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from, Cotton Eye Joe?
Assor dude. Hi YouTube.
Hi Pompous. I'll come back to you, mate. It just basically means that you can't stack all into resources and expect to get a good amount of sustain or whatever from there. I think that's pretty well designed. It doesn't really affect damage skills, just once it was specifically scaling like that. So it's very well designed in my opinion. Construction recovery passives, again, those have been changed a bit just to balance them out. Basically speaking, resources are at a point where you have to learn to sustain properly. You've got to use your skills, you've got to know when you can do heavy attacks and that sort of stuff. And there's some important changes in here, use synergies and that. Okay, so snares, generally speaking, the duration of a charge snare, so that's when you gap close, me, him, you gap close to me, I'm normally stuck there, is a tiny bit lower. Even though 0.25 seconds, normally I wouldn't really count it. It is technically a 50% nerf. You are probably going to notice that, but it's not huge. But more importantly is that it's only a 30% snare instead of 60%. So it's just enough to sort of get them to you without problems, but it's not so much that you're stuck there completely. Next one is obviously huge, and I do have a way around this. You'll see that in my Maj DK build when that's released. I already know what I'm running. Is they have reduced the cooldown, on blocking. So what that means is if you've got people hammering away at you, your stamina is going to melt a lot faster as that damage is coming in. It's going to make a big difference. Sneaks no longer grant a crit damage. Instead, they guarantee a critical strike and stun. So that is a great change. It's going to prevent insta-kill one-shots a little bit. There's probably still possible ways to do that, but it makes it a little more balanced, in my opinion, on the one-shot ganks. And yeah, it's good on that front. This one, a great change. Roll dodge now grants a 2-second immune ability to immobilization. So it means you can't be perma-rooted quite as easy. I like that one a lot. I'm sure that's what they say. Yep, immunity to roots, exactly. They've increased slightly the cost of stamina skills proportionally. That's a great thing. They were a bit cheap. Not that much matters. There is a really big change here somewhere. I will get there. Here we go. So we move on to the heavy and light attack stuff. So light attacks now hit harder and heavy attacks lower. Heavy attacks are designed to be for sustain. So increase the resource by fully heavy attacks by 30%. We'll ignore this one. So just remember that your heavy attacks are giving more resources back. However, we go down to here. Fully charged heavy attacks no longer restore resources if the attack is dodged or blocked. This is the single best change the game has seen in 2 years. And there are going to be people used to playing absolute meta cancer builds that are going to disagree with me on this. I'm going to explain to you exactly why that is the best, without question, change that they have ever done. Okay? So, here's me. Here's them. We're in a duel, and this guy is a stamina tard in full heavy armor, 0 regen sets. He is 100% damage. Should you be able to permanently sustain with 100% damage? Well, if you want to pass your test, the test answer for question number 1 is no. So keep this in mind. We're going to make sure you are keeping account on this. It's a great change. You can no longer just rely on heavy attacking in PvP. Should he have counterplay against him? Yes. If you got that one right, you are on 2 for 2. Question number 3 for your test. Is it fair that a guy can heavy attack with a proc, do as much damage as you can with a normal set, have infinite damage, no sustain problems? There's a bonus question to this. No. And if you said it's retarded, you get 2 points for that one. So what this means is there is now counterplay to heavy attacks. That does not mean heavy attacks are useless. A lot of people are going to say, oh, Dom, heavy attacks are such a waste of time now. Why would I bother fucking building a heavy attack? Well, that's not true. You need to know when you can get it in. You need to watch your opponent's movement, Work on their stamina, work on your opportunity to fit that heavy attack in and find the gap in with that heavy attack. For example, I'm a DK, I'm perma-blocking maybe. How am I going to get heavy attack through? CC with a Fossilize, a Fear, charge the heavy attack during the CC, so in an animation cancel, land the heavy attack, you'll get one heavy attack in. You can still make use of them, you just have to use it carefully, and that means there is counterplay, because if I see someone who clearly doesn't have sustain, who has built full damage, is absolutely clueless about the game, but is going to beat me in a fight because they're going to out-sustain me in full damage, I now can do something. I can block them, I can roll dodge from them, and they cannot hit me with the heavy attack sustain. That is a great change. It stops people being able to infinitely sustain with heavy attacks, but still makes it viable. It's well designed. The other reason that it might be better than the old change, so very early days, heavy attacks were interruptible to prevent this infinite sustain. The reason that it might be better than that is from a stamina point of view, it was really hard to do any heavy attacks. Because imagine you've got a one-hand shield or whatever, you're charging a heavy attack. Is that balanced? Not really, because it's so much easier to interrupt someone here than a ranged guy with a stick heavy attacking from here, right? You've got to get in and then interrupt, so that's very well designed. One thing I would be interested, I do see it in my Twitch chat here, is how it would work with resto and lightning heavy attacks. I'm pretty sure, because the resource sustain is based on your final tick, that it will be determined by if you block the final tick. So it is a channel. I would suggest blocking the final tick of it. So imagine that channel's there. Woo, it goes for 3 seconds. As it's getting close to the end, block off, cancel the heavy attack, and you won't get it. Another thing that rewards in terms of counterplay is you actually proc a negative effect. A lot of people don't realize this. You do learn it in the very start of PvE. If you block a heavy attack, you can concuss your enemy for 3 seconds. So that makes them off balance. It means that you're then going to generate, next thing, a heavy attack of your own, because your heavy attack on them is going to be increased damage. So you're going to get your damage back, and people who are spamming that are going to be punished even more if you play it smartly and they don't reblock you. So keep that in mind. Don't just spam heavy attacks. You are going to notice that. A lot of people are going to QQ about this change. My suggestion, learn to adapt. This change is well designed. It stops you being able to build for full damage. It forces you to learn the aspect of the game that is more important to any MMO, sustain. It's not realistic that you can't sustain. It's much better. Increase the bonus damage of heavy attacks. That's the one I meant. So when they are concussed, which is off balance, that's if you get sort of knocked down. That's how you get that one. So it's a well designed thing there. That doesn't matter too much. Buffs and debuffs. Change to minor magic up doesn't matter much. Okay, so through these ones, there are some class changes. I'm going to read all of them because I don't know which are changed, but I know a couple of them. Fiery Grip is cheaper. Who cares? Inferno is cheaper. Get in there, son. My favorite DK ability, as many people know. I think it's the single most underrated ability in the game. Lava Whip, small reduction of cost, very good. Inhale, reduced the cost by 6%. I don't know how much I'm going to use that skill, so don't really care. Spiked Armor, reduced it by 16%. I don't know, I might reduce a different skill there instead. Maybe Talent a bit more, but whatever, it's their choice. Something need a reduction, because DK had a bit more sustain problems in Magicka than other Magicka classes. So, yeah, good change there. Earthen Heart now. So Battle Roar is obviously giving you a lot less of your main resource pool and a lot more of your back ones. So you're going to get the same amount of it all because it's based on your character level. It means that you can't get resource back by only relying on that. You're going to need to build some sustain into your build. You can't just rely on Battle Roar to sustain yourself. So keep that in mind. Helping Hands, however, is going to be the same. But Igneous Shield, this is a small change. So what this did in the PTS was it made it so you only got Major Mending while the shield was up. Now what that meant was it was really hard to ever get Major Mending benefit, because if you want a group, you would have to roll dodge. From a Magicka point of view, you would nearly never get that buff. You would nearly never ever get that. From a stamina build, you could get it if you roll dodge, but only then. So what this means is that you are going to get your Major Mending from your Igneous Shield, but you're not going to get it for such an absurd amount of time. So 6 seconds. Every cast takes about 1.2 seconds, alright? We're going to do the maths here, because you know me, I like my maths. I cast my Igneous Shield, timer starts. 1.2 seconds later, I cast Vigor, and at that point, I can get Vigor ticks in. So 1.2 seconds, first tick on your instant cast. But then 2.4, 4.8, 4.6, 5.8. We get 4 Vigor ticks and Rally ticks in that heal bracket. We're getting a lot of Major Mending time. On Magicka, I can maybe fit Dragon Blood and Flame Burning Embers, whatever that shit is. Because there's not many other heals and you probably won't need it. So, why is this a good change? Stamina DK was overperforming on healing by a long way. What it means is, when I cast it, again, I cast Igneous Shield, like so. I get Vigor Tick number 1, 1.2 seconds. Vigor Tick number 2, 2.4 seconds. I get 2 Vigor Ticks increased. The other 3 are not going to be increased. I would make this 2.3 seconds just so you can't get the Vigor Tick twice, because I think that's a little strong. You should have to rely on your burst heal in that bracket. I don't care. It's a very good change. Tying it to the shield was a little harsh on the mending because it might have just not existed. But it means that you get it for 1 heal. So if you want to heal, you can cast Major Mending, a heal, and crack on with Fight. Rather than having to spam a heal and pretending that Major Mending there, which you really felt on Magicka classes especially.
But I've been forgotten, I Joe. I've been married a long time ago. Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from, Cotton Eye Joe? But I've been forgotten, I Joe. I've been married a long time ago. Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from, Cotton Eye Joe?
Morrowind hype.
I'll come back to that one, I promise, dude. So, Nightblade next. Assassination. Fixed an issue where this was being mitigated off physical resist. Doesn't change much, to be honest. I have not seen any good change for the Nightblade yet. So, Magic Nightblade is still in a bad spot. I hope they will bring some in. Siphoning attacks is pretty bad, but we're going to go over them anyway. Grim Focus, I've made a video explaining this, I think. Basically speaking, this 5-4 honestly doesn't change much in PvP. You're going to be waiting for the right time to use it anyway, or casting it instantly. It doesn't change a great deal. I promise you that. There'll be people telling you that it's the end of the world change for PvP. It really doesn't change a thing. I know Magic Blade like the back of my hand. In terms of duration, you barely will notice the difference. So I'm going to do the same explanation just in case I didn't upload this one to YouTube. So, at the moment, in the original game before this patch hits live, you go Merciless, Light Attack, Light Attack, Light Attack, Light Attack, Merciless Cast, Merciless Recast. So we've got 1 cast so far. Light Attack, Light Attack, Light Attack, Light Attack, Merciless Cast. So to get 2 Merciless in, I got to cast 12 times. Next one, the new setup. So we go Merciless. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Light Attacks. We get the cast. But then we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Light Attacks, cast, because we don't have to recast. So it's only 1 later. The whole cycle is only costing me 1 cast in PvP for 20 seconds. Doesn't really change a thing. From PvE, it is a buff because it's going to make it so much less time having to rebuff. You're going to cast this fairly often. So generally speaking, I like that change a lot. Reduce the duration of the snare of this morph of assassin. What the fuck? I didn't even know that had a snare. I genuinely did not know that ability had a snare. I have gone over the shadow board. It's a good change. They did need the resistance uptime a little better. Some change to cloak. That change doesn't matter. I'm just seeing if there's anything new here because not a lot of this stuff matters. Twisting path, damage buff again, but just a PvE sort of thing really. You can see it in raid PvP, but not really solo play that much. Siphoning attacks, unfortunately no change, so it still only gives it at the end of duration. It does need to be rethought, that one, because the current situation with siphoning attacks is that, quite frankly, Elemental Drain is better skill. I hope they readdress that one. It's not the best. I do know the Nightblade pretty well, but in the end, I'm not Zenimax. I don't have influence over this. A lot of people blame me for all the changes. Just keep that in mind. So, Sorcerer, there are some changes here. Damage from Crystal Frags nerfed by 20%. Sorry, from by 10%, so they were doing 20% more, now it's 10 on that proc. That's a nice change. It means that you're not generating quite as much ridiculous burst. And Dark Exchange, I mean, you can't really see this. It's 0.2 seconds, so kind of hard to see that one. But in the end, it's getting a tiny bit extra duration. I hope it makes it more interruptible. I haven't had the pleasure of fighting against Stamsorks yet, so I hope I can get that. However, where we do see some changes is down here. Summon Volatile, reduce the damage of this morph special ability by 20%. It was too strong. It needed a fix. Well designed, Zenimax. Nice job. It did need a nerf. We'll see if 20% is enough, because obviously it still hits really hard, but it should bring it a bit more in line with PvE, because this was normally your second on your recap, if not your top ability. And yeah, it's nice to see that getting damage reduction. Yeah, exactly. The amount of damage you're putting out is too high, so it's a good change. Templar, I'm just going to read through if there's anything new. Again, I've gone through a lot of this in my previous one, so try check those out. And hopefully it's not too much there. This ability now applies Major Maim instead of reducing the target's damage by 30%. I mean, that does the same thing, essentially. Power of the light. Come on, baby. They still haven't changed that. So that's one thing that still really needs to look at. Power of the light needs to not scale off other people's damage. It should only scale from the caster's damage. At the moment, it's a bit out of whack. So far, the change that I would still like to see, but it's really close. Our siphoning attacks really needs a relook at. It's completely useless right now. No point in having it on your bar. Power of the light should only scale off the caster's damage. Almost every streamer is going to tell you this. Every regular player who knows the class well is going to tell you this. It'll be a useful skill then, well-balanced skill. At the moment, it's a bit out of whack because like you can proc it instantly. You've got a raid banging away at you. They instantly reach damage cap. Boom, 10k. Boom, 10k. Non-stop. It needs to come only from the caster's damage. Otherwise, you get people running 60k health Templar builds. Casting that shit on you is whacking you super hard. So, yeah, that needs to be looked at. Again, there's going to be the change to like minor mending and that sort of stuff. I don't see anything different elsewhere in here, though. So I think everything else here is the same as it used to be. Rite of Passage. This ability now grants the caster major protection for 10 seconds instead of giving allies the 20% damage reduction. So instead, you're going to receive a 30% damage reduction and they're not going to receive the 20%. I mean, that's an interesting one, I guess. A weapon, I have gone over this stuff before. Obviously, some bit more splash damage to heavy attacks from two-hander. Blade Croak, this is a really good skill, very underestimated. I like the change. It was slightly too low. Very, very strong, actually. Apparently, there was a change to Blazing Shield. Hang on, let me scroll up to that. Blazing Shield. Oh, here we go. Reduce the amount of damage done by this morph to 33, 36, 39, 42 from 50, 51, 52, 53. Oh, I actually do like that. I mean, it's not a huge reduction, like 25%, if that. But it's nice. It's going in the right way because like, it's ridiculous people can stack that. So it does make it a little less cancel on the Mega Tank front. These two staff, this passive splash damage with lightning staffs is no longer increased by damage modifiers. It's going to affect PvE AoE a decent bit, but we'll see how much. I think a lot of people mostly are single targeting there anyway, so we'll see. That's about bow. We're going to ignore that one. Increase the cost of volley, increase damage. Again, we've gone over all of this. We've gone over this in previous videos. None of this has changed as far as I can see. Again, I think all of this so far has been gone over in previous videos. Just going to skip through that. Bigger, I've gone over that. I've gone over those. Champion points, I've gone over those in my first video, so we will skip through there. We've gone through all of this. Next, we're going to go on to the sets, I guess. Let me find those. Oh, here's a small one. I mean, it does need to relook at a bit, but cost poisons are halved in resource management. It still needs to go down a lot. That should be about 10%. So we're going to add that to our list. So at the moment, from what we've seen, we have siphoning strikes, power of the light needs to look at, and resources from cost poisons. That's our 3 changes that I would still like to see so far. I think that's all of them. This is just leaderboard stuff. We're going to skip through here. And here we go, item sets. So, doesn't matter too much. Doesn't matter too much. Doesn't matter too much. Too much. So people already know about this one. Bone Pirate obviously getting a small nerf. It's still a good set. It's just less ridiculously strong. I like that one. Burning Spellweave, that's going to affect PvE a bit. Quite a big nerf there. Again, I've gone over that. Isamarat. Fasala has been rechanged. So now it passively applies minor defile for 2 seconds to any enemy that comes within 5 meters. So any enemy in close combat is going to get minor defile. That's 15%, I think, less healing. It's a little less out of whack, and you could also stack Major Defile with that to make it more useful. So it's going to be an interesting set still. It's no longer 50% where it was a bit strong, but they don't have to hit you. So running Fasadas, you've got that up 100% time if you could stay in close combat. So actually, I kind of like that. It does balance out a bit. Molokana, I mean, it's not a set I care about. I've gone over that one. Pirate Skeleton. So they did make a change to this that I may not have mentioned in a recent video. It no longer procs if you have a damage shield already up. This is to prevent people just shield stacking to avoid the penalty. So let's imagine I'm Sir Sorcerer Blobs and I'm shield, 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 shield. I'm a really defensive Sorc. I am not going to receive the benefit of that Pirate Skeleton. If I'm an offensive Sorc, it's actually a buff. Or close to it. It's going to be roughly the same. Because if I'm risking letting my shields down a bit to try get a kill, for example, if I see my opponent low, I hit them. I might have my shields down, take a hit, but the proc chance is up, so I'm more likely to get the proc of it. It's also going to make it more viable for like normal tanky builds and that sort of stuff. But what it essentially means is that you can no longer shield and completely skip the penalty. That's well designed. It was a bit out of whack. It's going to reward offensive players who still use it. So it is not necessarily entirely a nerf. But the sort of people that you saw, there's a lot of sorks that I fight regularly who clearly have no idea what they're doing and just don't want to die. Even people who think of themselves as very good players. All they're doing in reality is shield, 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 light attack, frag, shield, shield, shield. And they got a chance to kill you or something. They won't even go for it because they'll seal their shields down and they'll re-shield. So on that sense, it rewards them for being offensive with the set. But they can no longer just say full defense and you can actually kill those sort of targets far more reliably. So I really like that one. Alteration Mastery, a good change here that I did mention before. It now affects block and bash. I still won't be using the set, but maybe interests some people. Stygian, unfortunately, it does magical abilities only. That does not increase ultimate damage as far as I found so far. So Tank Spank will have to change, but we'll find a way with that. Again, I've gone over Tumor Scale before. They have reduced the snare duration. Good. Here is change number 4 that needs to be relooked at though. Troll King, this item now procs when you heal a friendly target and still below 50% health. It's too much healing still. They need to look at Troll King a lot. It needs a much bigger nerf. Maybe make it 25%. I know it's Jules' suggestion. My suggestion is just cut down big time the amount of HP recovery it gives. It should be enough to be worth considering, but not enough that every stamina class, every magic class is technically better off using this set because it's that broken. So at the moment, Troll King's still out of whack. That's change number 4. Siphoning attacks, Power of the Light, something else that I mentioned before that I can't quite remember, and Troll King. That's on there as well. Okay, so Troll King, that's just patching a buff. PvP Merchants, don't care about that too much. General Furnishings, we don't really care about that. Grouping Tool, General Gears, Puzzles, and all of that stuff. I think that is everything. So I did say it'd be a long video. Again, if anyone gets a chance to timestamp it on the way, I'd be greatly appreciative, but obviously it's not your job to. It would be mine. I just don't have the time. I hope it's been useful. I am so ready for this patch. You're going to see a lot of content. There are some marvelous, marvelous changes. So I really do look forward to it. And yeah, let's see how it works out. I hope that people have the right attitude about this. There are a lot of people giving it really negative press in the wrong place. If you do have any comments, please put it in there. If you're one of those people that comes on my YouTube and says, "Oh, your voice makes me want to kill myself," you're in the wrong stream. I don't really care. I just get rid of those people. So hopefully you're going to be constructive. Hopefully we can get this game where we want it. It's going the right way. And great shit, Zenimax. I like it. Yeah, see you later, guys. So there we go.